Hello, everyone. Welcome to Game Junk Prototype, episode 58, recording on Thursday, April 22nd, 2021. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name's Andrew.
And we're going to be talking about the D.I.C.E Awards and the Oculus Showcase. So, maybe a shorter show. Just putting it out there. Be prepared. We shall see. And
You
what
never know.
we played, of course. But let's start with a little bit of a news story. Sean wants to get me fired up. Poke the bear.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it. For the
News
listeners.
story came out this week about Sony not closing down the PlayStation 3 and Vita stores. Sean, you wanted to talk about this. You had a lot of thoughts. So what's the deal here? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I feel like it's pretty rare that Sony reverses decisions on stuff. Maybe I'm not remembering things, but they.
Was there a lot of uproar about it? Because I remember.
Oh, yeah, there was definitely a lot of uproar, and we've been talking about like Microsoft. Their approach, as you said, Frank, is very much like we're all about the gamers.
NGOG.
We'll bow down to
nice
anything.
Guys of gaming.
We'll bow down to anything you want us to do. Just tell us what you want us to do. We'll do it, basically, right? And Sony hasn't really been operating like that. They kind of are just, this is what we're doing, live with it. And that's worked fine for the most part. But this particular decision, shutting down the PS3, the Vita, and the PSP stores, people were pretty upset. And so they reversed the decision, 66% of the decision. So they're keeping the PS3 and the Vita stores open. PSP is still shutting down, which I don't think too many people are concerned about. And they basically put out a statement saying, hey, we got it wrong. Sorry about that. We're keeping it open. We found a way to keep it open, which I think is good. I'm more interested in the fact that they actually did it. I'm not.
It's easy to be like considered nice. You just say you're going to do something and then change your mind. And like I said, I would think the decision making behind the scenes is like, well, let's say we're going to close it. Either people won't care or they will. If they don't care, good. If they do, we'll change our mind. We'll seem good anyway. And even better, we get a surge of people panicking and buying stuff off stores like I did. So let's double dip on that. Hell, let's triple dip on that. Let's say we're going to close it every 3 months and watch the money roll in. So, you know what? Whatever. I'm stupid for falling for it and buying stuff. Not that I bought that much, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. So, I mean, being the Sony's number one fan here, Frank, it seems like you're pretty don't care either way on this one.
Correct. Overall, I'd say it's a good thing. I like PlayStation 3, even though I don't play it very often. I hooked it up recently so that I might play it a bit. That was 2 weeks ago. Has not been touched. And I fired up the Vita 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Played it a bit. Need to get back to it. I walked by it today and said, oh yeah, I got to play that game again. So it might happen. We shall see. But overall, I think it's a good thing. Not a big deal, but a good thing.
And I mean, this is obviously speculation, but I can't help but wonder, like we've been talking about, Microsoft has had a few kind of big positive PR things recently, with some of the Game Pass stuff they've been doing and whatnot. And obviously backwards compatibility has been a big thing they've been pushing and supporting. And so, I can't help but wonder if some of that had some sort of effect. Frank's out. I can't help but wonder if, some of that had an effect on their decision here. Like they just thought, we're getting some negative backlash on this, and Microsoft has been doing a lot of things right lately, so maybe we should go back on it. But
I think it was probably a good decision on their part to not close it, because the Vita is still a viable platform, I think. I mean, obviously they're not seeing that many sales, but I still think they can be played and they're playable. I mean, there's games that, you know, I would still want to play. I still haven't beaten Persona 4 Golden, which I always wanted to play, and I'm sure other people would be in the same boat of wanting to give that game a try. Maybe if they try the newer Persona game, they want to go back. So it seems like it should be a valid system still to have around, but maybe they jumped the gun a bit, but I think they made this a good decision in backing it up. PS3, I'm less inclined to think people will play a lot of PS3 games, but at the same time, if you don't have any other option for people to play those games, then you might as well keep the store open until you do have another option, especially with Microsoft's backwards compatibility stuff. I mean, you don't want to piss off people that still want to play those games, although they're probably a small amount of people.
But they could still play them, right? Like you could still download anything you'd purchased.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, buy them, try them, whatever. Yeah.
Right. I didn't get as fired up as I thought I would, Sean. I did leave the room. It was not because I was all worked up. I
thought you were shutting it down, Frank.
I forgot to go hardwired. Was getting a little digitized noise. Had to jack in.
Okay.
All right. So, first story, D.I.C.E Awards were today. I don't think there were any major announcements. It's not quite like the what's the name of the other awards?
The Game Awards.
The Game Awards, okay. So there's not a lot of trailers and hype around like the actual like game news when this is happening. So we'll talk about the winners a bit, but Sean, did you want to talk a bit about some research you did?
Well, I was just curious. I mean, you know, you just pointed out that there is a difference between the Game Awards and the D.I.C.E Awards from what we're seeing. And it feels like they're both kind of competing to be like the Oscars of video games. And I think the D.I.C.E Awards were kind of the first ones to try and do that. Like they actually, there's an Academy of Interactive Arts and Science, I think is what it's called, which clearly just based on the name, they're trying to sound like the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Science. And so they were the first ones trying to do this. And so it does feel like they take it a little more seriously. I didn't watch the whole video, but I watched a bit of it, and it seemed like for every award that they announced, they had some of the nominees. They had a panel with some of the nominees, and they were just kind of doing Q&A kind of questions about that category, and then they would announce the winner. So it was very industry focused, I guess, and I guess that's the thing. It's actual developers who vote on D.I.C.E Awards, whereas Game Awards, I think, not 100% sure on this, but I think what I read is that it's game journalists. So interesting to think of, I guess, the winners maybe in that light.
I hope they don't find the Game Awards too concerning. Well, just to look at the winner, I'm not going to go over every winner, but I would say the big thing to take away is that Hades dominated what I would call the three major categories: Game of the Year, Outstanding Achievement in Game Direction, and Outstanding Achievement in Game Design.
What do you think the difference between those two categories is?
Direction and design?
I think direction is like overall, like direction
high
of
level.
The game.
Mm-hmm.
No, like arts, like everything about the game.
More art, narrative, and all that stuff.
Art, narrative, like
okay. So everything, more like a director.
Like a cohesive vision for a game, like overall,
okay.
Fantastic. Where game design is probably specifically like, you know, mechanics. I would think the reason why Hades won is a unique integration of narrative and roguelike elements, and, you know, lots of options through design, and even the way they generate the rooms, I think, would be a big part of that. And like the path choices, how those are integrated. I haven't beaten Hades, but I clearly need to. Please bring this game to major consoles, for the love of God.
Oh, I'm sure.
Major consoles. Are you saying the Switch isn't a major console?
Not really, but, you know, let's get it on Sony and Microsoft ASAP, please. I want to get achievements or trophies. Like
Steam has achievements.
Not interested. Those are. But please, like, what is the deal with this? I guess it hasn't been that long. It came out in September, I think, officially. So, I mean, it's only been like 7 months. It could be a year exclusive. Who knows? It's so weird that a game this popular, there's got to be an exclusivity window because they obviously have the money and the time to expand the audience for this game if they wanted to.
Yeah, I don't know.
And if it runs on Switch, it would for sure run on those other consoles. So,
well, was this Epic Store? Maybe they had an Epic Store exclusivity.
No, it was on Steam. It's on Steam.
Steam and Epic Store. But
so, yeah, it's weird. I don't know why. Please, I'm sure everyone is asking for it. I don't get it. There has to be something going on with Nintendo, I would think.
But, sounds likely, yeah.
Whatever. How long did Disco Elysium just came out? But that was probably around a year, I would think.
Well, it didn't. Oh, you mean just came out on consoles?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably about a year.
Yeah. So there's probably a year. I'll have to wait till September for that, I'm assuming.
Well, if anyone from their studio is listening, I'm a guy that does ports. I am familiar with all those systems.
I'm sure it will be some...
say he might have an equilibrium of different systems.
Oh, definitely. For sure.
They'll release some kind of complete edition or definitive edition or something for those consoles. But yeah, so I mean, Hades winning those 3 categories is a big deal, and it's I would think that's an interesting division there where it feels like developers are more focused on what's the best game, what's the game that everyone was kind of wowed by that maybe was a little unexpected, whereas Game Awards is more blockbuster hype. And Hades did win some stuff at the Game Awards, I think, too, right? But I believe it was Ghost of Tsushima that won Game of the Year.
I think Last of Us Part 2.
Was it? I remember talking about...
I'm pretty sure the fan award was Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, to me, and it's interesting, they have an indie game category for DICE Awards as well, which obviously Hades won as well. So it's just interesting to see that the indie game is jumping up and taking all the big awards as well.
Yeah, I mean, the other takeaway, I need to play Half-Life Alyx. I might have to buy a pre-packaged PC at this point because I need to play this game.
I feel bad because that game is so incredible. And I know it won basically VR game, but it was in the running for a bunch of other categories that it didn't have a chance in. But it is really an incredible achievement and everyone should play it. And also, because it's on VR, your audience is going to be less. So it's really too bad because it is an incredible game. The other winners, pretty typical in terms of Game of the Year. Some love for Animal Crossing and Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima, I think, basically swept the art kind of categories.
Yeah, like art direction.
Technical stuff or whatever, yeah.
I'm kind
of audio.
I mean, we've officially lost, maybe lost the definition of the adventure genre. Like, these are all action games. Like, the challenges, like, adventure games typically have trivial challenges, like you're pressing A and deciding what to do, like in a classic adventure style. But, I mean, the big thing about adventure is, embodying the mindset of a character or, having a unique narrative experience. So I think that's the loose tie-in. But I mean,
Kentucky Route Zero is probably the only valid one.
All of these other games are action games.
Yeah.
Like, I know everyone just throws around action adventure all the time, and I was guilty for a long time of not fully understanding what adventure meant. So, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird that they even have a specific category for that because action and adventure are so interchangeable these days.
And you'd think if you did that, it would be to focus on adventure games because there's a lot of smaller narrative games that are classic adventure games or the closest thing to classic adventure games we have now. That's where they draw the line. Just seems kind of weird.
Well, and they do have an action game of the year, which Hades won. So then they have an adventure game of the year. And basically, it's a bunch of action games, like we were just saying. So it's weird that they weren't in the action games category, but like Ori, I guess is adventure. I guess that would be the next closest one, but like Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
I think
I guess I can see
Part
that maybe.
to me is the closest one to an adventure game. Like it's
Yes,
heavily
sure. Okay.
narrative focused, but
Yeah, yeah.
and I think with like some of the settings turned down, like you can kind of coast through that game
Yeah,
without
sure.
having any skills. I couldn't say that about the rest of the game. Like, and just enjoy the narrative of Last of Us too, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But definitely, like Ghost of Tsushima, I guess it's not an adventure game. Anyway, the only surprise to me was Mario Kart Live Home Circuit winning awards, which seems crazy. I haven't heard any people bought it at Christmas for their kids or whatever. Sean, did you?
Nope.
Anyone? Has anyone touched this game since it came out and it was a novelty?
I mean, I'll say I would have probably bought it if they had a package that came with 2 vehicles, but the fact that you basically had to buy 2 whole packages to get 2 carts, I was like, no thanks.
So that was the only surprise to me.
One other surprise for me, outstanding technical achievement goes to Dreams.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that. Yeah,
Not Ghost of Tsushima, not Last of Us Part 2, not Flight Simulator. For some reason, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit is also in here, which I guess is cool, sort of.
Yeah, I guess that's all about their creation engine and sharing and stuff like that, which I haven't played, so I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty cool what they have, and it's still not as intuitive as you might hope, but I mean, they put a lot of work into those tools, and I guess it's more that side than sort of what you would usually think of as the technical side of video games. So
I do find it really interesting that your reaction was it's not as intuitive as you think. It makes me feel like it's not the greatest technical achievement, although that might be more of a accessibility or like
I mean, what they took on
achievement.
What they took on was like a pretty huge thing, right? Like they're essentially they're trying to give you something like Unity, but like on a game console that's easy for anyone to use.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's more just navigating the 3D world and 3D space. I think it's better with the Move controllers, and now they've added VR support. I haven't tried that yet, but just with the controller, I was like really struggling with it.
Is there mouse support? Like I know I know Xbox supports keyboard and mouse.
There wasn't at the time when it came out, but I know a lot of people were asking for it, so I don't know. I should check on that.
I can only assume Project Spark won this award if these awards were around when it came out, because
yeah, that's true.
Did the same thing. Anyway, moving on. I have nothing else to say.
Nope. No, that's about it.
Congrats to the winners. And the next subject will be the Oculus Showcase, which was a pleasant 20 minutes to watch. It wasn't too long. And let's go over some of the games. One of the first ones was Warhammer 4K Battle Sister. Looked okay. I've actually heard really good things about Vermintide and that they're actually and the new one coming out. What's it called? Does anyone know?
No,
I don't. I get all these games mixed up.
It's another Tide title, but it's like more of a futuristic shooter. But it, I hear it's a bit like Left 4 Dead, which I think has me intrigued to try it. So this one's not though. This looks like a first-person kind of adventure experience, which seemed okay, or more of a shooter. Lone Echo is coming to the Rift, and Lone Echo 2 is coming to the Rift, or there's an expansion for it, which I really can't play currently. Has anyone played any of the Lone Echo games?
I tried the demo.
Yeah.
That's all.
There's like a different version of it on Quest, which I'm not quite sure what it is, but
I mean, I've really been wanting to try the original Lone Echo. Like, to me, I always kind of hear this as the killer app for Oculus. A lot of people talk about it that way. Mm-hmm. And it is, as far as I know, exclusive to Oculus, right? So it definitely is not coming to PSVR.
Well, I believe Facebook bought that company
right.
to be like an exclusive VR developer for them.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be pretty cool. I mean, this is one thing with this whole showcase, and I'm sure we've mentioned this before, but VR game trailers, it's like, on the one hand, you're usually getting gameplay, but on the other hand, they're all just first person perspective. It's kind of tough to really.
Yeah, I wonder if they show them in like stereoscopic 3D, like if you have a Quest or something like that, if that was an option. I have no idea.
That would be kind of cool, yeah.
But it's a good point. I didn't really think about it today, but you definitely lose something.
Yeah.
Just watching video. I guess surprisingly, the most interesting thing was a thing we heard about already in the Resident Evil showcase, which is Resident Evil 4. Which I'm actually marginally excited for, that it's a Quest exclusive. It's almost a reason for me to keep that thing around, and I've always wanted to revisit Resident Evil 4 for the third time, I guess, and this seems like a very good way to do it.
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty cool. I mean, obviously, I am a big fan of Resident Evil 4. The idea that they're kind of making all the pickups and everything actual physical objects that you have to interact with. I mean, I would love if they took that a step further and added even more little interactive elements throughout the game. I don't know if they didn't really mention anything else, but I don't know. It seems like it could be a unique way to play the game for sure.
At one point, the person hosting the show said, like, this game released 16 years ago on the GameCube. You might be wondering how we were able to convert those systems to modern technology. I'm like, no, I'm not wondering that at all. Like, pretty sure it's pretty easy. Anything you could do on a GameCube, you can do now. It was such a weird written thing for that presentation. I don't think anyone's wondering that. I think you're wondering how it's going to switch to VR, but not the fact that it's a 16-year-old game. I think you can handle it. Tales from the Galaxy's Edge Part 2 or whatever, Volume 2 is in development or coming out. I bought the first one. I haven't played it yet, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is one I was kind of looking at, hoping it might come to PSVR. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm like probably close to buying a Quest 2. I was kind of curious if they might announce a price drop or something.
Buy one?
But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, might have to talk.
But yeah, I mean, like a lot of the games from this showcase, or at least some of them, are coming to PSVR. This one is not one of them, as far as I can tell. But I liked Vader Immortal. It didn't blow me away, but as sort of just like a 2-hour interactive movie experience, I thought it was pretty cool.
And next week, Star Wars Pinball VR, which is a subset of FX Pinball, and 2 new boards, which feature The Mandalorian and like a Star Wars collectibles board, comes out. I love FX Pinball, and I might pick this up.
I think it's Zen Pinball.
Zen Pinball? Yeah. What's
Zen Pinball?
Is that the company name that I'm confusing?
Yeah, I think it's both. No, I think the company is Zen as well, and then it's Zen Pinball. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like, I do like these games as well. I don't know that this is something I would play in VR. To me, it's more of like a pick up and play kind of thing. And VR, for me anyway, is always like, got to get all the stuff set up, and I don't know.
Yeah, the game was Pinball Effects 2 and 3.
Oh, was it?
By Zen Studios, yeah. But I think it has been called Zen Pinball on other platforms. So I think
I thought so.
Both right there. Got to get in that fan cave, though. Got to change my posters.
So I was just looking up the difference between the Rift and the Quest 2, because I guess I haven't tried the Lone Echo. I must be confusing it with something else, because it says it's only available on the Rift. So I was looking what the differences are, and it looks like nothing other than the Rift is tethered. The Quest 2 has actually higher resolution and like a lot of basically better everything. So I don't know why it's not available for the Quest 2. It seems
because
strange.
it all runs internally on the Quest 2. So you actually, for the like graphics and rendering for the Rift games, like it requires PC power basically to render the game. Where the Quest is all in one unit. It's all
I thought the Quest was pretty powerful, but I guess the Rift is more powerful than that.
Well, you're not even limited by the power of the Rift, right? You're limited by the power of your PC.
Yeah.
But like, wouldn't it be possible with the PC link then on the Quest?
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, in that case, you have to buy it from the Rift store and play it on PC.
Okay.
Right? You're basically using it as just well, not third party, but
a
generic
Rift fake.
Yeah, generic VR device.
Okay.
You're losing what makes the Quest 2 unique in a lot of ways. You are tethered.
But Lone Echo 2 will be for the Quest then, or no?
No, that's
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Because it looked really good. I'm not surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
Like graphic fidelity wise. I expect you to die too. The Spy and the Liar, Sean. I think you like that game, or I'm just assuming you like it because you like spy shit. But
yeah, no, I do like this game, the original. This would probably be my most anticipated of the showcase, and it is coming to PSVR, I believe, this year. So I'll be looking forward to that.
All right, I'm kind of spending too much time on this, to be honest. But like, Carve Snowboarding, interesting. I guess that it's from the makers of 1080 Snowboarding. I didn't see much of a game there. I didn't know what I would do in terms of, I guess you just bob and weave, lean and stuff like that, but it didn't look all that great to me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
After the Fall is a new game, which it's just a brief clip from the creators of Arizona Sunshine. I'm just going to burn through these and you guys can talk about whatever ones you want after. Yep. Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife is a horror game. Didn't really move my needle. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Aftershocks is a free expansion for that game, which is extremely popular, and I would buy it, but it's pretty pricey, so I don't know if I want to buy it on PSVR or Quest 2. I do want trophies. And even though this wasn't last in the presentation, The Climb 2, which The Climb and The Climb 2 were not on my radar. It actually looked pretty cool in those videos, so I am considering picking one of those up.
Yeah, I've been hearing really good things about The Climb 2, actually. Again, not on PSVR as far as I know. So this could be, another kind of killer app for Oculus potentially.
I mean, it's out already. The expansion they announced was coming out today on the Thursday.
Yeah. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners have also heard good things about. That is on PSVR. I'm curious, just haven't picked it up yet.
I'm curious if people have. I really couldn't find a good article on this. Not that I was that extensive in my search, but games that are exclusive to Oculus or PC, or that you can play on the Quest 2, because those I would probably buy all of them at this point, like just for some exclusive VR experiences. I'm kind of curious. I saw in the store today this Puzzle Bobble VR.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There was one other announcement that you didn't mention that I was kind of excited about.
Shit, sorry, Sean. Tell me what it was.
Well, there was a Pistol Whip expansion, which they showed like a very brief announcement teaser. Didn't really show much. So it's called Smoke and Thunder. It seemed like it's kind of like a Western thing, which is cool. But then the other thing, I didn't even realize this. They had another expansion that just came out recently, and it is out on PSVR as well, called Pistol Whip 2089. And apparently it's kind of like a story campaign kind of thing, whereas the previous stuff that I had played and stuff that's in the original game is mostly just kind of levels that, it's just like a rhythm game, right? You're just playing a bunch of levels. But the idea of trying to put some kind of narrative thing in there has me intrigued. So I think I'm going to have to, it's a free DLC, but all of these are free DLCs, so I might have to check that out.
Let me open up the window to my insane mind a little bit. So I'm like, I should play these on PlayStation instead. But at this point, I'm like, PSVR's got to be coming. Should I just wait till like these games I'm assuming are all going to work on the new hardware? Like, why not wait and play them on better VR hardware and better controllers?
Let's make it the assumption it will be better.
Oh, it's got to be. Like,
the Quest
like
2.
the screen's got to be better.
Yeah, probably. But
yeah, I mean,
refresh rate.
I have no idea when.
I got inside info.
No, I don't actually.
I think it's gonna be better. I would assume it's.
My question is more, when is it coming? Like this year, you think?
I don't know. I would assume so.
Like maybe by the end of the year. I guess it's a possibility, but
feels like you're really leaving VR developers out in the cold. Like, they're not going to have any sales basically on these new consoles, so it has to come relatively soon, I would think.
Probably holiday.
Especially when it's the fastest selling console of all time. You know, it's only people are going to buy them as fast as they can get them. That's a huge potential new audience there. That, you know, people have switched. They've jumped ship from Microsoft. They're on the PlayStation train, and they got to get that VR. They got to get in there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like they showed the actual controllers, right? So that to me seems like it's not 2 or 3 years away, I don't think. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking October, from this October to next October is a window. I know that's a year window, but
Yeah.
It's a big window.
This holiday or next holiday.
it's the same window Sean uses for his most anticipated game this year. So I'm okay with it.
Maybe that should have been on my most anticipated list.
All right. Anyway, I feel like such a poser because we always talk VR, 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 and then we never play it. So what does that say about VR ultimately?
Yeah, I mean, there's a new game that just came out that I was bugging you about called Mask Maker. I haven't picked it up yet, but I'm like, I gotta check this thing out. It's from the makers of A Fisherman's Tale. So
that's why I love the idea of Oculus, because it is like the barrier to entry is so small. You put it on, it calibrates itself. I can do it in like just some open space in a room without being tethered to anything. But then I'm like, I'm not getting trophies. Do I really want to do it?
yeah.
But it's all worth it. I really ultimately bought it for Half-Life Alyx, which didn't work on this computer. So I'm like, now I got to buy a whole new computer just to play Half-Life Alyx. But you know what? It's worth it. I will do it. And I think they had said, this was in a separate news announcement, I think, that the wireless tether that used to be on Virtual Desktop is now part of the hardware, or it's in beta on the hardware.
Oh, really?
I guess the OS that comes on Quest, so you don't need that Virtual Desktop app that's $20 or whatever.
Yeah, I remember hearing that they updated it where you can now do 120 hertz as well, which would be awesome if they can actually achieve that. Like, that's pretty incredible. So,
shit,
yeah.
Beautiful. Go Oculus. All right, let's get into what we played. Who wants to go first?
I mean, I can go first, I guess. So I finished Little Nightmares. Very short game. It's like maybe 3 or 4 hours.
My friend, who is probably listening, he was saying he's playing it with his son right now too. And his kids also loved Bug Snacks. They're probably around the same age as your kids, if not exact same ages as your kids. Or pretty close. Like, is this game huge with kids right now or something? Like, where's...
Well, I was going to mention this because, I mean, did you know I was playing it with the kids, or are you just guessing?
I'm just guessing.
They are very into it. And I'm like kind of torn because I'm like...
Are streamers playing this? Is this like a thing?
I'm sure they saw... Well, I think Little Nightmares 2, they saw one of the YouTubers they watched played a bit of it, and that's how they knew about it. And so I should say I also started Little Nightmares 2, but... didn't get very far yet. But yeah, the kids really like it. And it is like, I want to say it's kind of right on that in that territory of like, 80s Amblin stuff that we grew up on, where it's like, yeah, it's kind of creepy. It doesn't, there's no actual blood from what I remember, but there's some pretty creepy creatures. There's
jump
a little
scares?
bit, kind of, I guess. There's there is sort of cannibalism, which
Sweet.
I mean, I don't know if they're really picking up on that stuff exactly, but I was going to ask. So I know you played a bit of it, right, Frank?
Oh, this is right when it came out. I think maybe an hour, like 4 years ago, whenever it came out. So I don't know.
Well, it's interesting. So
There's no platinum trophy, so it didn't hold my interest.
So like, I really liked.
So sad.
I really liked some of the creature design in it, and there's a couple of characters in this game that really remind me of Lil Devil and Bobo.
Oh, I was gonna guess
Nothing But
nothing
Trouble.
but trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was an influence or not, but I was definitely getting that vibe. So you might want to check it out. But I did. So the first game, I did really like it. It kind of, it's sort of a couple interesting sort of twists or interesting direction it goes at the end. But I do find that there are some puzzle things in this game that I honestly like. I don't know of how I could have figured them out. Like I had to look them up. When I find out what they are, I was like, okay, like it because
I have to play this now.
I thought he was going to say,
Found a way to make me play this.
I was going to say, if I didn't have Kieran there, I would never have been able to figure it out.
Well, I'm sure there's a few things he figured out for me, but it's just because you don't know exactly what you can interact with all the time, right? So it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, it's more immersive because it's not like they have certain objects highlighted saying you can climb this or pick this up, but you just end up hunting through like these dark, shadowy rooms, trying to pick things up and push things. And I mean, I don't know, that was maybe one of my complaints, I guess. But overall, I really enjoyed it. And we started part 2 and I am enjoying that. It feels a little more polished, and there's kind of 2 characters. It seems like they could have done something maybe for co-op with it, but just kind of cool that there's another character that's helping you along the way. So yeah, I'm liking it.
I could jump in here. I played the new game on Apple Arcade called Fantasian, which is kind of like the Final Fantasy. I can't remember which Final Fantasies the guy who created this made, but he was involved somehow in some of that Square Enix lineage. And this game is definitely along those lines. There's like arty dioramas that you walk around in, and each one's kind of like this little vignette of an area. I guess it's pretty traditional in that regard, except for the camera perspective. And it's a traditional turn-based RPG. The attacks are actually really neat how they do them with the touch mechanics. So it's pretty traditional. You choose like attack, or you have sort of like another slot that you can swap in and out an item or whatever you need to. But then they have special moves, and the special moves can be directional. And the second character you get, you can also sort of like bend her attack direction. So it kind of goes in an arc, and you kind of have to drag your finger along the touchpad, or I guess if you're playing with controller, using like the right stick or something, to sort of bend it to hit more enemies. So it kind of has a little bit of that Chrono Trigger vibe where you need to kind of line up the enemies properly, but it gives you a little more control because you can actually, direct the exact angle from your character, or, an arc that your attack takes. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of an evolution of that sort of directional attack mechanic. Whereas in Chrono Trigger, it's basically like you highlight the first enemy and then it just goes in a straight line from there. But in this, you have full range of control of which direction it goes. I really like the art style. Really nice looking game. Very reminiscent of, I would almost say, kind of like late, what was Final Fantasy 12?
I was going to say, it kind of looks like Final Fantasy 13 to me.
Yeah, 13. Yeah, 12. Yeah, kind of that era. And it's very traditional. Like you go into every house, every person has a little thing to say to you, even if it doesn't mean anything. There's items hidden in each kind of area. There's items hidden in each house. So it's got that same stuff. They have a neat thing where each area has a map you could pull up, and they have these markers that go by, I don't know if it's points of interest or just the exits, but so you enter in a new area and you can literally just pull up the map, tap on the exit on the other side of the map, and then hit go, and it just walks for you. So you don't have to slog your way through the map yourself. It just kind of takes you there, which is kind of nice if you're just trying to quickly progress without really thinking about which way you need to go, like especially if it's kind of confusing and there's a lot of paths you need to go. But overall,
navigation isn't the most fun thing on like touch device.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I was using a controller for the most part, but I did try with some of the touch mechanics. But yeah, with a touch mechanic, it wasn't too bad, but it definitely was easier with the controller. But overall, I'm probably an hour and a half in. I'm really liking it. I don't think I'm anywhere near being done. I don't know how long this mobile, quote unquote, mobile game is going to be, but I imagine it's pretty long because was looking at some screenshots and there seems to be a lot of areas that I never seen yet. So.
Doing a how long to beat Fantasian?
Yeah, I think it's pretty long.
19 hours for the main.
Wow. Yeah, that's really surprising because I believe that Apple Arcade is starting to go away from these longer games and going to more, quick hit games. It seems like what they're coming out with, like Fruit Ninja and all these old like threes, all these quick hit games, they're going away from this long. I mean, I like the long, but I can understand why Apple would not be interested in these type of games. So it's too bad that there aren't more of them on Apple Arcade.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that is a pretty big game for them to have. I have no idea if this would ever get ported to any other systems. I mean, it sounds like there's some touch-specific stuff, so maybe Switch or something, but...
Well, you can play complete with controller. So,
you can? Okay.
Yeah, so I think it should be... Because you could play on like the Apple TV as well. Okay. And the Mac, which obviously doesn't have any touch controls.
Shit, I could start using my iOS and different devices. I should try a game on an Apple TV. New Apple TV announced this week. So
yeah, I got the Apple 4K TV, and it's really easy to just pull stuff up on it and with the Apple Arcade and connect the Bluetooth controller. And I just use an Xbox One controller with it. It's fine.
I should try that tonight. I won't, but I should. I've been playing pretty much exclusively Nier Automata. I was so on the game when last we spoke, I think, and I've just been completely absorbed by this game, whether it's part completion but part fascination. I thought it was okay. I loved the first hour, and then it was like, I don't know if I love the level design and other elements. I'm on the third route right now, and I think it's amazing. Like,
is the route like your third playthrough?
Yeah, it's like you play through as 2B, the first one, 9S, the second one, and then another one that's kind of this mix and match of characters in the third one, which is completely different. It's so weird. The third playthrough so far is the weirdest and most interesting, and I didn't get to it because I've been doing side quests like until 30 hours into the game or something like that. I literally played Nier Automata for 13 hours yesterday. With some pauses to eat and poo. And that's pretty much it. Like, I played a lot of that game in a row. I can't believe it.
Well, someone on our Discord said that exact same thing. I don't know if you saw that, Frank.
No.
They were saying, like, the first playthrough, I was like, it's okay. Second playthrough, I was liking it. And then third playthrough, he said he was hooked. So, or he or she, I can't remember who it was exactly. But they kind of it sounded like they had the exact same experience that you had.
Yeah, that's interesting because I'm finding this with, like, specifically Japanese games. Like, Shadow of the Colossus, I thought was clumsy on the first playthrough, but the third or fourth, I was like, I love this game now. It still had its rough spots, but like the learning curve and like just getting used to what the game is, like there's a lot of unique concepts. Final Fantasy VII Remake. First playthrough I really loved, and then on hard, I was like, I love this game even more. And Sekiro, was the same thing. Like the more I played it, the more I loved it. And there was another game too, which I cannot remember right now, that I played recently. And I'm like, it's just the more I play it, like there's like this really conscious, like thought towards replayability. I think I was thinking about Resident Evil, like 2 and 3 are really about like, you know, playing it from different perspectives, getting good at it, going through it really quickly, getting S ranks and stuff like that. And I'm starting to really appreciate that design idea, which is way more prevalent in Japanese games, like getting really good at a game and you start to understand design decisions that aren't obvious on a first playthrough or might be annoying on a first playthrough. And then they start to make more sense the more you play them. So, yeah, I'm really digging that. Really, I was like,
I mean, like that's like the extreme, like, you know, it's the classic thing, like, oh, watch this TV show, but it doesn't get good till season 3.
I know it's
like,
I know people said that about Assassin's Creed Origins. I think like it gets good after the first 10 hours.
Yeah.
But I guess the difference was, you know, the first 8 or 10 hours of Nier were not bad. It just like, I was like, it's okay. Like, I like it, don't get me wrong, but I'm not like being blown away. And the more I play it, the more I like it. So
I recall having a similar take with Final Fantasy 13 where I was like, oh, it's okay. But then once you get, you know, 10, 15 hours in and you start really understanding the battle system, you're like, this battle system is actually amazing. And there's just so many moving parts though, that it's difficult to master. But once you master it, it really is rewarding, and you can really see, you know, the design chops, you know, come to light. So I guess, I don't know if like easy to play, hard to master would be a best way to describe it, but it's pretty close, I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely some like not amazing tutorial stuff. Like I think with all of these games I'm talking about, like I had to basically go to the internet to find things out about the game that I wasn't understanding, which I don't think is a good thing in general. But you know, that's kind of the world nowadays. So it's definitely interesting. A game that it made me consider revisiting, because I saw it in another article today about boss fights, but by Platinum Games, Wonderful 101, which felt the same way. I'm like, I'm not getting it, but I wonder if I, you know, tried it again, that it might be. And it was re-released on PlayStation and Xbox last year at some point. I don't know when, through a Kickstarter, and the Switch, I think. But yeah, I'm really liking it. Now, I did it because the new one was coming out tonight or tomorrow, and same thing. I'm like, there's no way I'm playing another one of these right after it.
Classic.
Like,
when will you learn? When will you learn?
But I mean, I don't think you can play the new one without playing that one, and I think, by all accounts, the old one is better than this one anyway.
What's the deal with the new one? Like, it's a prequel or something?
Because it is a prequel, which the original Nier was, but then there's like 2 or 3 versions of that Nier. This is the, I think, European or PAL release, a remake of that version. I could be wrong. It's one of those 3 versions being remade with more of the style of Nier Automata.
Yeah, I saw some article today that was kind of like, which game should you play first? And I didn't really have a conclusive answer, and I was just very confused. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's good though. And you know, the developer, let me get his name right, Yoko Taro, who I was not really familiar with before this, is, you know,
did he do that? It's not Concrete Jungle. What was the Tokyo Jungle? Did he do that?
No, it doesn't look like it, but I can see. Drakengard, seems to be the franchise that he's worked on a bunch. But yeah, it's this is the only, well, since Drakengard, the series that he's been creative director on. And you know, it's heavily Kojima influenced, like I said, and like pretty out there, but that's what I love about it. Like, it's got some crazy design ideas that are really interesting. And the more you play, the more of those ideas you get. It starts off heavy in the first hour, and I'm like, this is amazing. And then I lost that. and then it all starts to come back to that, like, just weird design ideas and unique moments that I love. It's the stuff I really love in games.
So I'm looking on Wikipedia here, and did you say Takahisha Tara?
No,
Him?
no.
Oh, so another one of the designers, anyways, this guy, he did Metal Gear Rising and Astral Chain, that Switch game that definitely is familiar.
Sense. Platinum, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, I thought I had heard he was like kind of attached to Kojima at some point, but that might just be inspiration wise. But yeah, I'll probably be done it in the next 2 days. I'm definitely ready for a new game, but I'm really glad I finally played it.
Cool. Huck, did you want to talk MLB The Show at all, or?
Sure. Yeah, we can talk about it a bit. Yeah, I played a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I've played a baseball game. Like, I never played any of the other MLB The Show games. I mean, we're going back. Last baseball game I probably put in a lot of time on was Bases Loaded for the NES. So I was curious, like, where are baseball games at these days? And I mean,
now, is this curiosity, I'm assuming because it's free on Game Pass, but also to like stir my Sony exclusivity pot a bit? Like,
no. I mean, I'm not the biggest baseball fan in general, so I probably would never have picked this up on my own. But just,
free?
having it on Game Pass, I'll check it out. And I mean, the first thing is there's like a billion control schemes. Like, they give you for, like, what is it? Pitching, batting, fielding, base running, and one other thing. Each of those categories, there's like 2 or 3 different ways you can control it, which is cool, but it's also like kind of overwhelming. And I think, for me, like, baseball games, it really comes down to the pitching control and the batting control, right? Like, you want something that you have some kind of accuracy there and a lot of variety, so that it's not just like pick one pitch, go, pick another pitch, go. Like, you want to have some real control there. That's where it gets interesting. But you don't want it to be too complicated either. So, I mean, I kind of opted for a lot of the options that were in between, where it's like you can choose directionally, but maybe not like full analog. I don't know. Did you try any of the full analog stuff, Huck?
Not really. I went pretty basic for everything. I think the last baseball game I played was like MLB 09 on my Vita, or whatever that game was called. So I haven't played a baseball game in a long time, just like you were saying. And I went very simple. I did, the basic base running, basic throwing, basic pitching, basic batting, directional batting with, power, normal, or contact. And that's basically it. The fielding I picked was a little strange because you kind of have to, I did the Road to the Show. I started doing a Road to the Show, which is sort of like you pick a player and you be them on your way to the majors. And so I picked a guy that was like mostly a pitcher, but also can do outfield. I think it's kind of on purpose to get you to try everything, to see what you're good at, and kind of just introduce you to the game. My pet peeve, though, is that on the main menu, it says Road to the Show, Diamond Dynasty, March to October, or something like that. And me, as knowing nothing about video games in the baseball space, I don't know what any of these mean. And there is no description anywhere. Even when you click on them, it just kicks you right into the, like, create a player or pick your team or whatever. It doesn't actually tell you what Road to the Show is. It doesn't tell you what Diamond Dynasty is. I still don't know what Diamond Dynasty is. I'm assuming it's franchise. March to October, I'm assuming it's kind of like a playoff sprint or something. I don't really know. So that could be improved on for the game. But back to the controls. The one fielding mechanic I had was really strange, where you have to run to where the ball is, and then when you get it, you choose your base, and then you have to, it kind of changes the camera, so it's looking at the base you chose, and there's like a target on the guy, and you have to kind of move the right analog stick to match, and then hit a button to throw. It's a little cumbersome. It's kind of strange. I don't know how you would ever do that multiplayer sort of thing, like where people are trying to base run and stuff. I don't know if you can. Maybe that's not even an option. But yeah, most of the controls were okay, I would say. And I was able to kind of figure them out. But like I said, I was using very basic controls.
Have they figured out how to do base running yet? Because that's always the worst thing.
No.
I was just gonna bring that up. Like I remember in the old baseball games, usually you just had like all the runners running one direction, all the runners running the other direction. You didn't have a lot of like just this guy goes here, this guy goes there. And they've tried to add that, but it's just like it's hard to wrap your head around. I
would think you use the D-pad to pick a bit like icon passing in hockey, right? Put an icon over every player while they're running and hit a D-pad for the base when you have that button held.
Yeah, it might be that. I think so. I think it was like the shoulder buttons can do all one direction, or all the runners go one direction, all the runners go the other direction. And I think analog stick chose a specific base, and then you had to hit which face button they run to, or something like that.
I just gave the answer, like off the top of my head. That is the best way to do it, 100%. Or yeah. I agree, you should still have the bumpers to like advance all, but like if you want to individually control base runners, I think that makes.
Just got to do it like they used to do in the Commodore 64 days. I think if you held down, everyone runs. If you hold up, no, I guess I don't know what it was to all return to bases, but I believe you like basically just held the stick up to the base you wanted, click the button to select them, and then choose the base to go. And they went. It's basically.
Yeah, but it's like on the fly when you want to send, like, let's say just someone rounding second home, you want to do that. And there's another person running to first. That was always the annoying situation, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
On the fly. But whatever. I'm not going to play this fucking thing anyway. Anyone else have anything to mention?
I have one other quick thing, which is I got an invite for the Xcloud beta.
You got one, you fucker?
For iOS and PC. So I guess you guys didn't get one. Okay.
I signed up a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, so I tried it out, and I mean the quick summary is there's a pretty big lag. I was not impressed. I tried on Safari on iOS. I tried both Chrome and Edge on my desktop, and in all cases, I would say there's probably like a half-second input lag. So I tried playing like Cyber Shadow and Narita Boy, and they were all like right on the border of unplayable. Like I was just not able to do quick movements and stuff.
What do you think, Phil? Is this for all gamers?
Well, I mean,
are you the people's console?
I'm hoping they can improve on it. I'm trying to remember like the Stadia Chrome.
Oh, I got one. I just checked my email. Like the email I never check.
Oh, nice.
I'm in, baby. Frank, you suck.
You got to stop dissing mobile gaming, Frank. That's the only way to get the invite.
For talking up Sony so much.
I've probably bought more Xbox games than everyone else here combined. I've spent more money on Rock Band songs, I bet, that anyone else has spent on games on Xbox.
It's probably true. I was just going to say, though, I remember Stadia working in Chrome with, like, not...
Yeah, it was pretty good.
The lag wasn't that bad. So I don't know if, like, that's why I thought, oh, if I try Edge, I bet it will work better. And it didn't. So I don't know.
Well, I played on a Android tablet, and I played Tomb Raider, one of the Tomb Raider games. It seemed okay. Now, I don't know why Android would be better than PC.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
To some degree.
Maybe.
Yeah, I did go back and try the Android version just to compare, because I was like, I don't remember it being this bad, and it was playable. It was fine. So
did anyone try an iPhone? Isn't that the whole point of this?
Yeah, I said I tried iOS Safari. I didn't try Chrome on iOS,
I don't know. You said Safari, I started thinking of laptop. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but like basically felt like the same amount of lag. It was not good. But I will say one thing, which is that, I mean, I don't know if we've really touched on this, but they have been adding touch controls for some games on xCloud. And Well, for most games, probably not the best thing. I started playing Slay the Spire. Worked pretty good for that. Now,
That seems like a good one.
this is like virtual controller though. It's not like actual native like swipe around and do
Ugh.
intricate touch stuff, but it still works. So it's kind of one of those things like now that, potentially I like this is the Android phone I have, I never use except to play games. But, if I had my actual iPhone with me, I'm out somewhere one day, 2 years from now, if I actually leave the house, I could pick up and play something with touch controls, which is kind of cool, I guess. But I mean, yeah, that anything actiony right now, from my experience, was kind of unplayable. So, kind of disappointed.
For me, I got back into Children of Morta, playing that roguelike again, and I am really liking that game a lot. I just unlocked my third character. I haven't used him yet, the boy with the knives. And I really like how they're weaving in the story. I really like the differences between the characters. There's some really subtle gameplay mechanics that they do, especially with the daughter with the bow. How her stamina when she's shooting the bow doesn't decrease, but if you're kind of moving backwards and shooting, it does decrease, which really makes you think about your strategy when you're using her a lot more. You can't just kind of sit there and constantly back up and spam shoot. But I was also thinking, maybe we discussed this before, but I almost think that the roguelike genre, how it has evolved with kind of like the RPG mechanics, is really now become almost like a sports game. And the same reason I play sports games, and similar reason to why I play RPGs, although with RPGs it's a little harder to get into them because you need to remember where you were and what you were doing. Whereas with a sports game, the main mechanics are very well defined, just like in a roguelike. You go into a level, you don't need to know anything about what you were doing before. You can pick it up at any time, same with a sports game. The difference comes with the scenarios. So in a roguelite, it comes with like the dungeon layout and the enemies that spawn. Sports games, it's whatever team you're playing and whatever strategies they choose. And it just makes it really easy to jump in and play just a mindless game of something, which can be so relaxing that you don't have to think about what you're doing, how the game works. The mechanics are easy to jump into. And I think that's why these games are becoming so popular, and why sports games are popular, why RPGs less so are popular. But I just think that this method of having, pretty basic mechanics that you can learn quickly and they're easy to relearn, and then being able to, play and get upgrades. In sports, it's like getting your stats better and, just learning the game. These roguelikes have the exact same thing where you play, you learn the mechanics better, you upgrade your things. Now there is more, mechanics added in roguelike games usually, but it's pretty similar in style. I don't know. What do you guys think about that take on roguelikes in general?
I think it's pretty good. I think it's interesting. I never really thought of it, but I think there are a lot of similarities, and yeah, kind of which is interesting that now what the rogues are doing is integrating story more, which is almost counter to that idea.
Yes, but I mean, it doesn't require you to go to to know what you need to do next. So they are adding the high level story without needing you to be like, okay, now you need to go to wherever, Canada or wherever you need to go, So that is nice. I like that aspect of it.
I mean, it's going to be interesting. Returnal coming out next week. Wonder how that's going to play out. I mean, it's obviously roguelike elements with a story.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Not going to lie. And you know what? While we're talking about that, let me just say, Scourgebringer now on PlayStation console, PS4, so you can play it on PS5 as well. The best roguelite of last year, and I have played a bit of Hades, and I like this one better.
Hot take.
Yeah.
I love the combat in it. Absolutely love. It's like a ballet. You're just, once you're firing on all cylinders, it's like, you get in like the Zen mode. It's the greatest.
It is like a ballet. I would agree with that statement for sure.
I love it. All right, we done?
Done.
I think that's it.
Hour and 5 minutes. Nice short episode as usual. Glad you could join us. Check us out on youtube.com/GameJunk and throw a comment, some likes, smash that subscribe, whatever you got to do. Get us going. On Twitter, Equilibrium Sys and My Angry Commute for Huck and Film Junk for Sean. Until next time, thanks for listening.